Hi friends, and welcome to today's video. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. Today's video should be a lot of fun. I hope that you enjoy it and that you give it a try. Now let's get started. Hello friends, welcome to today's video. I almost forgot to paint a pumpkin for this Halloween, and I'm cutting it pretty close, but today I'm going to show you how to draw a pumpkin very easily, and then I'm going to paint one for you also using the wet and wet technique. So I have some 100% cotton watercolor paper, my Muño pan paints, and 2 brushes, and I'm using a mechanical pencil. So to start, I draw a lopsided circle. At the top of that circle, I draw another circle, and then coming from that circle in the center, I draw these ovals. And this is a really simple way to get your pumpkin proportioned properly. So let's do that again. Let's draw a stem first, coming from that circle in the middle. And then of course use an eraser and erase the guidelines. And you have a pumpkin. Now for the next one, I'm going to draw a tall pumpkin. And I'm going to make this one a little bit darker so that you can see it better. So there's my circle at the top. And now I'm going to start drawing the ovals. And they're all coming from that center circle. And I'm staying within the lines that I drew for the first circle. And then just coming around the edges. And from this point, you can change it up a little bit if you like. And for the stem, I'm going to make a curly one. So I'm coming from that circle that I drew at the top, and that's where the stem comes from. And again, I'm erasing my lines, my guidelines. I'm going to lighten these lines up a little bit so that when I paint, you can't see them through the paper too much. But I just wanted to make them darker so that you could see what I was doing. And if you have any questions about what I just explained, let me know in the comments. I answer all questions and I read all the comments. So let me know if you have any questions. And now I'm just going to refine my lines a little bit. And that's it. Now for this pumpkin, I'm going to be using the wet and wet technique, and I'm going to use a combination of colors. Of course, use whatever colors you like and whatever watercolors you have available. So I'm going to start by wetting down the first segment of this pumpkin. And then I'm going to pick up a little light orange, and I'm going to start with that at the top. And then as I move down, I'm going to add a different shade of orange. And I'm going to let those colors blend in together nicely. And then I'm picking up a little bit of brown. And I'm going to add that to the bottom of the pumpkin. Or rather, the bottom of that segment. And now I'm just using that brown to go across that line of that segment because I want it to appear like a little bit of shadow. And of course, I'm going to skip around these segments because I don't want them to bleed into each other because they're all going to be wet. So again, I'm adding my water and I'm starting with a little bit of yellow on top. And then picking up the lightest shade of orange. And I'm just going around the edges. I wanted to keep a highlight in the center of this particular segment. But then I just blended it all in, and I'm going to use the lifting technique to give me a little highlight. And again, going in with that brown. This is a red brown. And then I'm going to follow the outline of this segment to create a little bit of shadow where that segment would kind of dent into the pumpkin. And then I'm just going to repeat the same process for this last segment before I let everything dry completely. Okay, so now we're going to let this dry, and now that it's dry, I'm going to paint the other segments using the same technique. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit so we can get through it quickly, and then I'm going to show you how I lifted and created some highlights in my pumpkin. Okay, now that everything's lifted, I'm cleaning my brush in the water, and I'm dabbing it on my paper towel, and I'm using it to lift some of that paint. And in the areas that are already dry, I'm applying some water and using the paper towel to dab that water off and lift some of that color out of it. And notice that I'm constantly dabbing that brush onto my paper towel to remove the pigment and any excess moisture that may be on the brush. You want the brush to be a little just damp. And you can see that gave me some nice highlights. Now for the stem, I'm using, I forgot to paint the segment of the pumpkin behind the stem. I just used a little bit of orange and then outlined it very lightly with the brown. And here I was trying to move the paint a little bit, create a little bit of texture, but I decided that I'll do that later using a micron pen. And of course, you don't have to outline with a micron pen or add highlights with a gel pen like I did. I think that this looked pretty nice the way it was, but I want to give you options. So now I'm using an olive green, and I'm using it to outline the base of the stem, and then I'm using a wet brush just to blend that color in a little bit towards the center. And I'm just going to follow the lines of the little curly cues that I made. And then I'm going to pick up a heavier consistency of the same color, and I'm going to apply it to the outside so that you can see that the curl, one part lays over the other. Then I decided that I needed a little leaf. So I didn't draw this part, but it's very easy to do. I'm using a small brush. Here I'm doing a little bit of lifting on the stem to create some highlights. Again, make sure your brush is not too wet. You want it just damp. So blot it off on your paper towel before you lift the paint from the area. So to create this little leaf, I just used the tip of the brush and made the shape of a leaf. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not even sure what a pumpkin leaf looks like. But I wanted to add a little something. And then I lifted a little bit just to give that leaf some texture. Now again, you can leave it like this because I thought it looked really nice. But again, I like to give you options. Here I'm using a 02 micron pen. It's got a very small nib. And I'm just going to outline these segments, make them stand out a little bit more. And I'm also going to add a little shadow or a little texture to the pumpkin, but not a lot. So now I'm just adding a few little lines here in the direction that I want to indicate that segment is going, if that makes sense to you. Just creating some texture. And along the stem as well. And then I added a little center vein to that little leaf. Then I took a white gel pen and I wanted to add a few little highlights wherever I thought I needed them. I hope that you have enjoyed this video and found the information helpful. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Check the description box for the supplies used. And check out our Facebook group, Vivo Vintage Design Tutorials, where you can post your versions of the paintings and techniques learned on this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!